So welcome to this webinar where we're going to talk about application modernization and performance management with Red Hat OpenShift and the Cloud Paks running on Power Systems. This is part one, focusing on modernization using Replatforming and Transformation Advisor. So thanks for attending this webinar. I'm Benoît Maolo, architect at the Systems Center, IBM Montpellier. In the agenda today, first an introduction to application modernization. And then we will proceed with the first demo using IBM Transformation Advisor, part of the IBM Cloud Pak for applications, for replatforming an existing Java application running on Power Systems. In a part two, in the next video, we're going to focus on application modernization, microservice-based applications, and performance management on Power Systems. In that particular demo, we're going to use, on one side, OpenShift Container Platform for running the new Replatform application. So this OCP 4.3 running on Power Systems. But we're going to use also Transformation Advisor and the IBM Cloud Pak for applications for modernizing the application. I'm going to talk about application modernization, but why? The first driver is to accelerate digital transformation, being able to transform my business very quickly, the ability to provide new services based on new requirements, new needs from my lines of business. Another driver is about improving developer productivity in general, and it's a way to give the good tool set to my developers so they can easily get started in my organization with the ability to continuously deploy and integrate changes in my applications. It's also a way to improve my ops, my operational efficiency. It's a way to standardize my environment with DevOps tool chains, DevOps mindset, and new processes. And how would I do that? So application modernization, it's about the replatform, repackage, refactor journey. So basically you can get started by taking a monolithic application to replatform. So maybe, for instance, containerize this application. And this is what we're going to use, what we're going to do in that particular demonstration, taking an existing G2E application running in a traditional application container, which is called WebSphere. It's a traditional WebSphere. They replatform it and transform the application a little bit so it can be compatible with WebSphere Liberty first, and then generate the artifact to containerize this application to be able to run it in, for instance, OpenShift Container Platform. Repackaging is also a way to, so it's a second step. It's about enriching my application, my core business application, with new microservices around this core application. So it's about incrementally innovate and provide new services around a core business application. So the risk is limited, and you can then enrich incrementally your applications, integrating this with external services, microservice-based applications, exposing your existing assets with APIs. The third way is to refactor, which is really, it's about getting serious about the monolithic application. It's about maybe rewriting the application into several services, microservices, make the application more modular. In that particular demo, we're going to focus first on replatforming, the first one. When it comes to modernization, we talked about COBOL, rock solid business, core business application running COBOL, RPG. And as you can see, I like this image. So this spaghetti architecture, when it's not really modular, it's if you want to make a change in the code, it's really risky. You can have some regressions. You can change many. The behavior of your application. In the middle, you see the lasagna-based architecture, layered-based, still monolithic, where all the functionalities are packaged within the same application. It's traditional G2E or Node.js application with patterns, design patterns. each layer having a particular responsibility like UI presentation, business logic, persistency. In that case, each change in the application, each code delivery could have an impact on the whole application. And this could be an hindrance to your innovation. And the last one is the Ravioli-based architecture, microservices based architecture. Aligned with the 12 factor, it suits well with containerized based environments where each, let's say, subset of your application is self-sufficient, loosely coupled between each service. And it's really more powerful if you want to continuously innovate and deliver new changes and deploy and integrate new changes to our application. So it's really the DevOps era. And this is where OpenShift Container Platform comes into play. In this particular demonstration, we're going to transform a lasagna-based architecture, Java-based application, modular, to a Ravioli-based application, microservices, using Transformation Advisor. You have many ways to modernize your application, and you have all the technology needed to do that. New languages, frameworks available for analytics, for cloud computing and automation, for integration. Nevertheless, if you need additional components that can't run on this platform, or if you frequently make some change on particular components, it's a good opportunity to externalize these components in your core business application to a microservice-based architecture running in containers. And so you can incrementally, I would say, enrich your existing core business rock-solid application running on your enterprise servers, IBM AIX. We're going to use for that a subset of the Cloud Pak for applications. So basically, Cloud Pak for applications is about running existing applications. It's about modernizing your applications using different tools like Transformation Advisor for transforming, replatforming an application from a modular Java-based traditional environment to a Liberty-based and microservice, I would say no, containerized-based application. In that particular demonstration, we're going to focus on the application modernization using Transformation Advisor. So Transformation Advisor in version 4.2 is now compatible with environment like Z, IBM Z Linux, so Linux One environment, Linux on Power. So it's multi-architecture. You can easily scan an existing application, get some advice about how to transform this application, replatform this application into a Liberty-based application, for instance, to be able to deploy this application on OpenShift Container Platform. And this is what we are going to do in the next minute. Take an existing application running on WebSphere 9, a traditional, monolithic, and use Transformation Advisor to scan this application and generate the artifacts so it can run on OpenShift Container Platform. And of course, it's the first step. So initially, you've got your application in a traditional environment. In my case, WebSphere traditional, WebSphere ND, WebSphere based, rock solid WebSphere. And the goal is to transform this application and replatform it to be able to run on a containerized based environment like OpenShift. So this is what we're going to do. Take an existing environment here and make it compatible with OpenShift. I would need to microservice my application, and in that case you have to do it, rewrite your application into microservices, or you can use the mono to micro tool available in the Cloud Pak for applications to do that. So automatically generate your microservices. In my particular demo, I'm going to use Transformation Advisor as a first step. Let's now proceed with the part 1, which is focused on Transformation Advisor. So in that particular demo, I'm going to use TA Transformation Advisor local. I could have used the Cloud Pak for applications version, It's an alternative. For the sake of simplicity, I'm going to use the local version. Then I'm going to use the data collector available for AIX IBM to scan automatically my WebSphere in that case. So it could have been different Tomcat or other containers, I would say Java containers like Tomcat or JBoss. In my case, it's the data collector for WebSphere that is running in my case on IBM. So I'm running traditional WebSphere 9, an Acme Air application, web application. I'm going to scan it, generate the artifacts so I can run it in WebSphere Liberty, which is the first step. And then I'm going to use from Transformation Advisor the output. So it's step 5 to see what I have to do to make to replatform this application with advice and reports. Download the artifact bundle. And then I'm able from this bundle to create the corresponding Docker image, injecting the application from the code, from the source code or from a build to build a Docker, a container image, push it on OCP and start my application. Transformation Advisor is gonna generate the OCP operator, so the necessary objects that I need to create and manage my application from OCP. And in a blink of an eye, you start from a monolithic application running on WebSphere to a containerized application in OpenShift container platform. So first, let's connect to Transformation Advisor version 2.2, part of the IBM Cloud Pak for application. In that particular demonstration, I'm going to use the Transformation Advisor local, which is compatible and, with multiple architecture, including IBM Z and IBM Power Systems. So let's now focus. So we're going to create a workspace for this particular demo. In that case, the collection's name is collection 1 in the workspace demo. The goal first is to collect and scan existing WebSphere applications or WebSphere application server profiles. So for that particular purpose, we're gonna download first the data collector, so which is operating system specific. So in my case, I'm gonna use the AIX version compatible with AIX and IBM. So first, I'm gonna download this collector, and here is the Acme Airlines application, monolithic application. Then I'm gonna scan. You can see on the screen that it's running on WebSphere 9 base. So it's a traditional, I would say, WebSphere application server setup. And then in that particular case, running on IBM i 7.3. So the goal first is to collect the data. So let's connect to the IBM i virtual machine. And what we're gonna do right now is basically we're gonna launch the Transformation Advisor data collector, and I'm specifying the WebSphere setup, the WebSphere profile path in my case. And as you can see on the screen, it's done. Once the collection is done, well, it takes a few minutes. It's accelerated in that particular demonstration. Then I'm going to upload this collection to the Transformation Advisor. So it could be automatic. If Transformation Advisor is able to connect to the data collector machine, it's going to automatically upload the collection. In my case, it's a two-step process where I first collect the data on my existing legacy application running on WebSphere 9. And then I'm uploading the result of this collection to the Transformation Advisor running on OpenShift on Power Systems or locally. So as you can see on the screen, I've got several information about my applications, my existing applications, and some of them are maybe easier to migrate to a, let's say, Liberty setup, and then maybe a containerized architecture. So in my case, this particular Acme Airlines or this web application running on WebSphere seems to be easy to migrate and replatform to Liberty and then to a container. Just a few dependencies. So we will take this in consideration when we will create the new application, let's say bundle. But as you can see, there is, not so much effort to migrate it. I mean, it could be really different depending on the application. You can spend hours, days to transform, and weeks to transform an application. In my case, it's a classic standard WebSphere Java application in general. So I've got several reports from the collection. So in an inventory report, specifying the libraries, the packages I'm using in my application. So it could be useful if I have some changes to do in the code. I can also have a view to the analysis reports. So different information. Will it be easy to migrate? What changes are necessary, etc. So in my particular example, everything is related to the JDBC and the database connectivity. So it's not a big deal. We will modify a little bit the application afterwards, but it can work as is. Yes, and at the end, I can generate a migration bundle. It could be, based on the source code. So it's basically a source to image to migrate to the WebSphere Liberty container ready WebSphere setup. In my case, I've just specified the binary, so it's gonna generate a Docker file, and I'm specifying the dependencies. In my case, I'm not generating the new bundle based on the code, the source code, for instance from Git. I'm just uploading the application WAR file, and in my case, I'm gonna also add the JDBC drivers and all the dependencies that are outside the application. And as you can see on the screen, it generates the operator, the OpenShift operator, the server.xml, so the WebSphere Liberty new configuration, and the Docker file to help me build afterwards an image, a Docker image, a container image. So what I'm going to do right now, the analysis and collection is done. Just a few changes are necessary. I'm gonna just give it a try. So what I'm going to do right now is based on the result, the output of the transformation advisor that you can see on the screen. First, so yeah, you see the bundle ready to. So what I'm going to do first, let's give it a try and let's deploy the new, I would say, Acme Airlines application to WebSphere Liberty based on what transformation advisor just generated. So in that case, this is what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna just copy the result, I would say, files to my local WebSphere Liberty setup running on my laptop in my example, and just to give it a try and see if the application runs well on WebSphere Liberty based on what transformation advisor just generated as a first step, and then we will proceed with the containerization. So this is what I'm doing, and then I'm gonna start the application server with the application. So remember, it used to run on WebSphere application server, traditional, ND, base, so done for monolithic, I would say, applications. And this is, I'm going to replatform the application on WebSphere Liberty based on what generated transformation advisor. And then, as you can see, I've just started WebSphere application server. Okay, it's up and running. So let's give it a try now. I'm gonna connect to the deployed application on WebSphere Liberty. Now let's connect to the newly deployed application. Just typing the context root of the application, Acme Air application on WebSphere Liberty. And here we go. The application is up and running with maybe some small changes to do to be fully functional. Then I'm gonna, based on the Docker file generated by Transformation Advisor, I'm gonna bundle this Liberty application inside a container image. This is what I'm doing right now, using the Docker file generated by Transformation Advisor, the output. And as you can see, it's running. I've accelerated the process, but basically it takes a few minutes to create the image. So injecting the application and the WebSphere Liberty config I've just tested inside an image, right? So this particular step is platform dependent. So if you want to build a x86 image, do it on x86, and if you want to build a Power PPC64LE image, you will have to do it on a Linux on Power system. So I'm going to generate the Power, let's say, a Docker image based on what Transformation Advisor generated. Done. So the image is built. I can now import it in OpenShift, right? So I've got the choice, several ways. I can do the build outside, I would say the image build outside and then push it. Or I can do like this based on the Docker file that I pushed in Git. I can build the application on the fly using the OpenShift container platform features. So basically I create a build config, etc. So this is what I'm doing right now, and the image is being created inside OpenShift. I mean, it's really redundant. If you compare to what I've just done outside OCP, or I can do it like it showed on the screen. I can also take benefits of the build I've just done locally, I would say, outside OCP, and then I could just, push. So I'm gonna log into the OpenShift private registry, and once it's done, I'm gonna use Podman to simply push the image to the OpenShift container registry. Right, I'm logged in, and then let's push it. I've already done it, so it's gonna take a few seconds. Yeah, normally it should take a few minutes, of course. So done. The image, if I have a look to what's in the registry, this is what I'm going to do right now. Yeah, just a simple list of images. Yeah, so it's already on my registry, the new Acme Airlines Replatform image. So now I'm gonna have a look to the output folder generated by Transformation Advisor, and I'm gonna focus on the role and all the, let's say, Kubernetes and OpenShift related objects that I now have to create. So as I'm connected to the OpenShift container platform using the CLI, I can now apply and create the necessary objects to run my application. Role, bindings, and of course at the end operator. So I'm going to just apply the files that are already generated by Transformation Advisor. So let's now give it a try. The operator is created and my Acme Airlines is up and running on OpenShift container platform. The application is now containerized and replatformed on OpenShift. Thank you.